This tutorial, we're going to look into installing SQL Server 2012 Express Edition. So the first thing is go to Google and search for SQL Server 2012 Express. Should be the first link here. Now I'm doing this installation on a VM, on a fresh VM, so I haven't installed anything. Just click on the download button, and depending on your machine, you're going to want to either install the 64-bit or the 32-bit. I'm using the 64-bit, so I'm going to choose this option. And this executable here has Management Studio included into it, so we'll go ahead and use that one. I already have it downloaded for the purposes of this tutorial, so I'm just going to double click that. Okay, once SQL Server has finished extracting the necessary files, you should be prompted with an installation dialog box. If you're not already in the installation tab, go ahead and click on that, and then we're going to want to select New SQL Server Standalone Installation. Now to install SQL Server 2012, you will need .NET Framework version 4. However, SQL Server will install that for you if you don't have that currently installed. So there's no updates, so we can go ahead and click Next. This is the section where SQL Server will look for if you have any prerequisite requirements, and it will go ahead and install those for you. So go ahead and accept the license terms, and if you want, you can send feature usage data back to Microsoft. This is optional. Click Next, and here we're presented with the different types of features that we can install. You'll definitely want the database engine services that comes with SQL Server. You don't typically need the SQL Server replication, but we'll leave it for here. The full text and semantic extraction, what it does is just creates an index and allows for SQL Server to query data faster. Reporting services is a feature in SQL Server where you can create dynamic reports. We'll uncheck that, and we can leave everything else the same. Go ahead and click Next. Now in this section, you can either choose to use the default instance, or you can use a named instance. We'll just go ahead and use the default instance. Just click on Next. These are the service accounts. So what SQL Server here is asking you to do is to choose how you'll log in to enable these different SQL Server services. Now, for the purpose of just installing it on our local machine, it's fine to use the NT service. But if you're going to use it in a production server, then you're more likely want to use a domain account, and you'd want a different domain account for each service. So go ahead and click Next. Now here we're prompted with what type of authentication do we want to use. We could either use Windows authentication mode or mixed mode. Windows authentication mode just means that it'll use your Windows credentials, either your domain or your local machine credentials. We're going to go ahead and use mixed mode because I want to use both Windows and SQL Server authentication. So over here we'll specify a password for the system administrator account. And I'm already added as a administrator. So go ahead and click Next. And you don't have to do anything in this page. So click Next again. And now SQL Server is installing. Once SQL Server has finished installing without any errors, you can go ahead and click Close. And you should now be able to access SQL Server Management Studio. So just search for SQL. Now once SQL Server Management Studio is up, you'll be prompted to log in. So you can either choose to log in with your Windows credentials, or you can log in with the SQL Server authentication. And we can use the SA account that we set up during our installation, or for now we'll just use the Windows authentication. So go ahead, click Connect. And as you can see, there's your SQL Server and your databases. There aren't any databases right now, but this is the folder that they'll appear under. And that's how you install SQL Server 2012.